Please help me welcome Carlo to show you how to ignite your Dapp with PAPI. Carlo, take it away.
Thank you. Yes, so hi everyone. Hola también para los que nos estéis escuchando en castellano. Today the presentation is going to be about how to improve and ignite your Dapp using PAPI. Sorry for the kind of super wide thing. It's not meant to be this way, but it is what it is. So I'm Carlo from the Polkadot API team. We are a small company called Sphere Labs. You might know us and see us around. We are the whole team is here these days. So a quick overview. What are we going to see today? Basically, the first thing is what is this talk about, and if this is even about PAPI, we will see that in a moment. I will introduce PAPI SDKs then, explain what they are, why do we think are the way to go, and also a quick code comparison. Then what about UI and UX, right? Because you will see that PAPI SDKs don't have a lot of that. And we will present our own wallet and account toolkit called Polkadot. More information in a moment. And a quick kind of optimistic thing to end, which is that everyone can build them. And then a quick Q&A session in case anyone has any doubts or questions. So yeah, is this talk about PAPI? So the answer is that depends on what do you think PAPI is, right? So I'll be talking about the PAPI client during the talk, and that is the top level client that you create when you want to interact with the chain using PAPI. And we already introduced the client in a talk like a year and a half ago or something. You will find that here if you want to scan that. I don't know if it works, if it's super wide, but well, try that out. We already introduced the client there. And this talk is not about the client itself, but rather things that build on top of the client that we called PAPI SDKs. So yeah, it is about PAPI because PAPI SDKs highly help you to build your dApps or your products using PAPI. But if you're interested in knowing more about the low-level library, just check that talk after this one, please, on YouTube. Then, so what are PAPI SDKs? So we introduced PAPI SDKs around a year ago, and the first kind of use case that we found for the PAPI SDKs was the Ink SDK. So interacting with an Ink client, Ink, if someone is not familiar, is a smart contract language in Polkadot. Interacting with Ink clients using regular Polkadot API client was a bit rough. And you needed to make a lot of steps, as we will see in the code comparison a bit afterwards. And we wanted to simplify that structure and making sure that everyone that wanted to interact and create dApps that interact with contracts could do that. The idea is that the SDK needs to enhance the dApp development experience. That's the whole idea of it. Simplifying and abstracting away certain common interactions. And from that point, we created many of them. At the moment, we have a whole bunch of them, but some of the most important ones, governance, lets you interact with the whole OpenGov system, also bounties, staking, statement store we recently created, and many more, also accounts, proxies, remote proxies, a whole bunch of things. So why do we think they are the way to go? As I mentioned, Polkadot API is runtime agnostic. What do I mean by this? By design, it does not include any kind of business logic of the chain you're interacting with. So the library is completely agnostic. But, well, this is a very nice building block because it lets you compose then and create abstractions on top of it. Those abstractions are very important and are actually very desirable because we need certain common interactions do not make sense to rewrite them every time. So every time you create an app, you need to rewrite the same thing that you rewrote 100 times, like which is the transferable balance of an account. I'm sure if anyone developed an app in the Polkadot ecosystem wrote that code. Which is the transferable balance of an account. I'm sure if anyone developed an app in the that in a higher level of first. But still, the developers get the release of good solutions. Also, a very important thing that Socrates would claim for that is that the UX and mobility is one of the best that we have, right? As Nicholas was mentioning before, there's a lot of work to be done. You can see good defaults that you can see what that means. Force UX as well. So UX is not only a matter of front end, it's not only a matter of design, it's not only a matter of colors, but also good defaults for the developer that actually is really good at the application. Also, I think that it's very important to realize that when this implies the whole way to this code of the front end. So the code runs from the there's anyone can do this. There's really an opportunity. But on this kind of body is really and then sure. Everybody is thinking that it's widely used in this program is changed. So, with code comparison, this is called with type API, which is like the regular Polkadot API client thing. This is the experience that you will get using Polkadot API. In this case, the scope is actually the identity of what happens. You see the last presentation of Nicholas that he shows that those addresses that have names and checkbox, check if they are verified. In order to make the verification, you need to interact with identity. You need to get the identity of the user is visible. You need to get the identity of the address. You need to get the super identity of the address. Some addresses are just children of the woman. We need to compose all of the information into something that makes sense. And in this piece of code, we are adding a lot of corners. We are not checking judgments, which are those ring checks that you see on that. Instead, with the identity, is really easy. You just import the identities all the functional getting everything already get all that information. So this is what I get with interactions with each other. This is an interaction that is what all kinds of does not if they are staking that or governance that or whatever. This is the difference. That's what makes sense to physical interacting with the client, within the client, this is just and as you can see, the way to interact with the client is you adjust the APIs that the it's very rough. You need to first encode the message, see if it's a flicker contract. Standard example of conflict. You need to encode the message. Then try on the message to get how much gas is that going to cost. And then if the primary was successful, actually send it to the station. And what means every time they do it. Instead, you just use the investigate, which you get the contract, and with that contract you get the send, say the message you want to send, pass the origin, and the data, the contract takes that. And it just works. All of that complexity is hidden behind the scenes. And then the most crazy example probably is, for example, invisible, super small, but yet all of those lines of code that you're doing are actually bonding tokens instantly. But not only bonding tokens instantly, but also nominating validators in another system of state, and also changing the where the data was going, this data. All of this code in any state you have should be there. You can remember a simple function, which is absurd elimination, data elimination, where you pass the total of the data, you pass the ID, so where the words go, and you pass also the data. All of these is what I was mentioning before with those good defaults at a development level. Give us a good UX. And the validator. All the other checks need to happen transparent to the user. You don't need to show that information. And using the SDKs, basically because the person that develops the SDK is very familiar with the palette, already gives you, if the SDK is properly developed, already gives you a good set of defaults, so it already tells you which is the important information you need to pass. And after this code comparison, what about UI UX, right? Because we barely mentioned it. We said that good standards or good defaults in code SDKs help to good UX, but what about UI? Because there are certain things that we want as well to abstract away in terms of UI. And I don't know, for example, choosing an account, right? If you're familiar with Ethereum dApps, you have this rainbow toolkit in every kind of dApp that lets you choose your wallet. I don't know if it's MetaMask or if it's Talisman or just Wallet Connect. So why we don't have that in Polkadot, right? And our take with this is Polkahub. It is our own wallet and account toolkit, similar to what Rainbow would be. But first of all, as small disclaimer, it is work in progress. We started working on it like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month, but not more. And we're still trying to figure out which is the proper way. We think we have a good idea, but it's still, everything is very subject to change. And as everything we build, it's modular and extendable. So the base of Polkahub is very basic, right? It just handles all the accounts and stuff, but every kind of signer is a plugin. So you can decide in your dApp to enable only a small set of signers. For example, a dApp that wants to interact only with Wallet Connect. That's a possibility. You can only enable the plugin for Wallet Connect. And we are very proud that we support all major signers in the ecosystem, which are, as everyone knows them, the Polkadot.js-based wallets, Polkadot.js Wallet, for example, Talisman, Sub0, among others, Wallet Connect, or as it's known now, Reown, Ledger, the cold signer. It's the cold signer that is widely used across the ecosystem. And then Polkadot Vault, the only coldish signer in the ecosystem. And one thing that we are very, very proud of are multi-sigs and proxies. These are types of accounts as well, right? So, for example, bounties or big corporations, they might want to have a multi-sig instead of just relying on one single public key, private key to sign their transactions. And we think that these two kinds of addresses should be a first-class citizen in our wallets. And as a kickstart, let's say, we added them as first-class citizens in Polkahub. And then one thing, it's front-end generic. So you can use it with Vue, you can use it with, if you use web components, with React, you can use it with whichever front-end, but we also release a modal, like the typical model of Rainbow. If you can imagine that you click and it opens, showing all of the available wallets. That model, we developed a very simple one, only for React. And if anyone is interested, you can scan this QR code. We will make sure to share the slides after the presentation. And you will find instructions in the repo to use that. And then, like as a rounding up, like the cherry on top of the cake of the presentation, anyone can build them. And we encourage every developer in the ecosystem to join us in this effort and to develop your own SDKs, if that makes sense for your specific use case. Not only SDKs, but also UI components, toolkits, CLIs, whatever it might be relevant to the ecosystem, just try that out and check if it makes sense. We are here to help, and if anyone needs assistance or help, you can text us on Telegram, you can text us on Element. We also have a support channel, and yeah, we are basically here to help. And that's basically it. So if anyone has any question or something, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you. Yeah, the whole thing is set up for substrate-based chains. So it does not matter if they are parachains or if they are solo chains, as long as they are built with frame, more or less, and they have the specific palette, of course, for that SDK, right? They should work, yeah. But also take into account that we, for example, to build the SDK, the staking SDK, we take as a truth the Polkadot and the Paseo versions of the palette. Does that make sense? So if you have a modified version of something, some of the things might work, some of the things might not work. Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole bunch of people doing the hackathon this weekend. How are they, like, how do they get started with this? Is there like a hello world? Like, is there a simple start for them to use it?
Yeah, they can, so to kickstart with PAPI, they can go to papi.how.
I actually love the fact that it's called PAPI.
Yeah.
PAPI.how.
How, which is also makes sense for
so
a
good. It's so good.
Documentation page, and they can check out the starting guide. Some of the SDKs, the most used ones, Ink SDK, staking, governance, they have documentation as well.
Cool.
And for Polka Hub, what I was just mentioning,
Yep.
they can go to if they look for Polka Hub in GitHub, they will find the documentation in the README. And besides that, we have a small session. I think it's an...
it's like an extra session where you can people can go and like sit down with you and talk to questions.
That's it.
We do want everyone to know with the hackathon, it's not just main stage and down here, but there's actually like little side events that that you can come and talk to people like Carlo and Nicolas, and we're just going to nerd out as much as possible.
We will have a session at 4:30
good.
This afternoon, talking about UI, UX, and which are the, let's say, problems and how to go forward with this. So anyone is
the troubleshooting. That's right. Getting the bugs out. We appreciate everybody coming in and having a seat while we're up here. Thank you very much, and keeping quiet elsewhere. Thank you so much, Carlo. We're really grateful for everyone's patience. We are going to have a little bit of a break for about an hour and a half. So those of you online, you can click on main stage, the button above my head. That's always funny, right? Wherever it is above me, and head over to the main stage. And we're going to have lots of other activations here. There's even a ball pit. So make your way over there. There's a pink room, all kinds of different fun stuff down here. But definitely make your way around the building. And again, thank you for being here. Come back in an hour and a half at 2:40 for our next talk. Thanks, everybody. Hey.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's okay, but just...
It's not that, it's people do that.
It's okay. Just while someone's talking, like, I couldn't even hear him sitting right in front of me. So, yeah.